name is Jeff Venables. I teach chemistry at Northwestern High School in Rock Hill. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in 1994 from Wofford College, a Master of Liberal Arts degree from Winthrop University in 2000, and a Doctor of Education degree from Walden University in 2008. And I am National Board Certified in 2000 and renewed in 2010. I decided to become a teacher because it just seemed like what I was meant to do. I had some teachers starting in elementary school and middle school who made learning fun for me, and they made teaching seem fun too. So when I saw them do what they were doing, I could picture myself doing that for the rest of my life. Okay, get into your lab groups and send one person from each group to get your aprons and goggles for the group. All the stuff you need is on the cart back there. My main influences were those teachers that I had. I had Mr. Dupree, who was my math teacher in 5th grade. Mr. Hart was a social studies teacher. Mr. Thomas was an English teacher. And they just made their subjects come alive for me. Even subjects that weren't my strongest subjects, they were just, it was fun to learn from them. And when I saw them teaching, like I said, it made me want to do what they do. And I also had a couple of teachers that maybe weren't so good. And I would sit in their classes and analyze and think, if I were teaching this is how I would do it differently. So I think I was already starting to become that teacher, that analytical mind. Okay, now stick it in one of those buffer solutions, just so it's down in there and covered up. Yeah, you can lean it in there. All right, now open up your Logger Pro. All right, and what channel are you plugged into?
1.
So go to channel 1. Click on the little white box. Yeah. Is it changing?
Not anymore.
Okay, then now type in, let's see, that's 4, so type 4. We're basically telling the computer this is a pH of 4. And then click on keep. And now take it out of there and rinse it off. You always rinse the probe off in between solutions. It's a still water. And then all you have to do is stick it in there and swirl it around until the pH levels off, and then write down what that pH is, and do that for each solution. Some of the biggest changes that have happened in teaching are the roles that the teacher has. We wear more hats now. We don't just impart information to students and let them take a test later on. There's a lot more to it than that. And the biggest difference, I think, in the classroom is how fast students can access information now. So it's really not so much about providing information to students because they can find the information on their own. It's more about helping them understand concepts at a deeper level. Make sure you know what's in which test tube. Swirl it around in there. When the voltage number stabilizes, hit keep on that one, and you're ready to go. Then you're just ready to start measuring all your solutions. The most important thing that guides my instructional practices is my students. It's knowing their backgrounds, knowing what they like and what they dislike, and knowing how they learn. And then I can tailor instructional practices to make everything more meaningful to them, to help them understand the concepts better and to make it more relevant also. What is that? It should be, it's kind of a milky...
Yeah, I don't want to flip it upside down.
Well, you get surface tension in these test tubes, so it will stay in there, but if you shake it enough, it'll fall out. Well, I had a student last year who came into my class, into a Chemistry 2 class. She was an art student. Art was her strength, and she came into the class and she said, I don't really like chemistry, I don't really like science. But I'm going to do the best I can in your class. And then as we proceeded through the class, by the end of the first grading period, she had asked me if she could enroll in the next class, which was Advanced Placement Chemistry, and I just said I would see what I could do, and we got her into that class. And then she took the Advanced Placement Chemistry class, and she made a high score on the test, and she decided that she wanted to major in chemistry in college. And she received a full scholarship related to chemistry in college. And it's not that I expect every student to become a chemistry major, but it's nice when you know that someone has a potential inside of them and that it comes out while they're in my class.
We put it in the water before.
All right, what's in there?
That's 90%.
Okay. Okay. Have you tested one of them yet? Okay.
We tested the 50%, but it was really slow.
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be fast.
Okay, so we're definitely gonna use water.
What?
We're definitely gonna use water. It separates them the best so far.
In my classroom, it's a science classroom, so I believe that the best way to learn science is by doing science. So I believe in a hands-on approach, hands-on and minds-on, so that while they're getting their hands on the chemistry, hopefully they're learning those concepts and seeing those concepts in action. The other important thing about my classroom is I feel like it's a safe zone. It's safe for students to be themselves. It's safe for me to be myself. We can take risks, we can try new things, and it's okay to fail because a lot of times the best learning comes from our failures. You want to make sure also when you hang these in the beaker that the paper doesn't get stuck to the side because it'll make the solvent climb up the paper in a way that we don't want it to climb up the paper. Teaching is rewarding for me because I like to help other people, and I've always kind of felt like I could help people learn things, and so the most rewarding thing is to see that happen, to see someone develop an understanding of a difficult concept. And chemistry has some really difficult concepts in it. And it's just neat, especially the struggling student, when you know that they're struggling with it, and then they put in the extra work and you put in the extra time with them and then they understand it. That's what's most rewarding. Is there something you can measure that would give you numbers that you can quantify your results?
Like the street.
And what are you going to measure about it? The whole streak?
How long a certain color is.
Okay, so what you can do is make sure that they've risen to the same level and use your ruler and measure how far each color went. And if they all match up, then you can say, that's more conclusive that that's the pen that made the mark. Okay. The point of this is the next step after we leave here would be your report goes to the police and they decide and they arrest this person and then it goes to court. And a scientist has to go into court and testify and say, this is what we did, this is the result we got. And this is, you have to show your results and say, see how this matches, and here's what we measured, and here's what the results were. And this is why we're so confident that whoever it was wrote them. So your report needs to be detailed enough. It doesn't need to be real long. It just needs to be detailed enough that it explains how you got your result and what your result was and how you quantify that result. In my AP chemistry class, we are learning about acids and bases right now. And I mentioned in class one day that red cabbage juice can be used as a natural indicator of pH. And so my students decided they wanted to see red cabbage juice in action. So today what we're going to do is take some household solutions and try to estimate their pHs using red cabbage indicator, and then we'll also measure the pHs with a pH meter. You know how to do all of this, right? And in my other lesson, my Chemistry 1 class, we've just learned about making molecules and shapes of molecules and polar and nonpolar molecules. And so it's time for us to do an exercise in chromatography. And so I've set up a scenario, because I've also taught forensic science, where we will try to solve a crime to determine who wrote a note using paper chromatography. Could you tell, if you took your crime scene one and stuck it in there, could you tell whether it was that marker or that marker? Based on how it spreads, how it separates?
Yeah.
Because what you're looking for is something where all four markers look different. So that then you can, oh no, there's something wet on the table. Then you can put this in there, and as it runs up, this will match one of those four, because one of those four is the kidnapper. So one of those four made this note.
Okay.
If I was selected as Teacher of the Year, I would emphasize to my colleagues, to my fellow teachers, the importance of technology and embracing the technology that the kids are using. So my message would be to learn at least one app every month. If it's a gadget, if it's an application for a gadget, something you've never used before, pick it up and try it out and see if it helps in your classroom. If it doesn't, then pass it by, but if it does, embrace that and look for something else. To the public, to the members of the public, I would say, if you haven't been inside of a school in the last 5 years, it's changed a lot, so come take a look what's going on. I'd like to invite members of the public, whether it's politicians or hairdressers, doctors, garbage men, they're all welcome in my classroom because they need to see what's happening in the schools. It's not what it used to be. Yeah, we'll make it happen. All right, have a good day. For me, teaching has always kind of felt like what I was meant to do, and I think I've been fortunate that there's something for all of us. There's something that we're all meant to do. And some people take years trying to find what that is, and I always knew. And so I was lucky that I always had that path, and I knew where I was headed, and I had the right people in my life to help me find it.